Today's show brought to you by redcon1.com. That's right. Click the link at the bottom of the podcast app in which you are listening to this on. Check them out. Use promo code T20Quartermiss. That's right. redcon1.com.
There's nothing special about being American. None of you can define for me what an American is.
I am the nation. I was born on July 4th, 1776, and the Declaration of Independence is my birth certificate. The bloodlines of the world run in my veins because I offered freedom to the oppressed. I am many things and many people. I am the nation. I am 200 million living souls and the ghost of millions who have lived and died for me. I am Nathan Hale and Paul Revere. I stood at Lexington and fired the shot heard round the world. I'm Washington, Jefferson, Patrick Henry. I'm John Paul Jones, the Green Mountain Boys, Davy Crockett. I'm Lee.
Coming to you from the DTOM Studios in the free state of Florida, sponsored by Megan's Mark Bourbon. This is Don't Tread on Merica. Alrighty, folks, I'm back. I finally made it back. Today is Thursday, February 12th, 2026. Guys, let me tell you, I've had a busy couple of weeks. Okay, I was out of town for a week working, and then last week is my busy time of the year. So, I worked like 75 hours last week. In the last 2 weeks, I've worked 140 hours. So I just did not have time to get this show done. However, I've wanted to. Does that count? Doesn't count. Okay. Anyway, we're back. And so I'm off of work today. I'm going to get this show done today. I'm probably going to do another show tomorrow and probably going to do another show Sunday. I have plenty of shit to talk about. So just be ready. Make sure you're following the show, whatever podcast app you're listening to this on. Make sure you follow the show on social media. Don't Tread on America on Facebook, Instagram, True Social, on the Ticker Talker, and, of course, on the Twitter X Machine, DTOM Podcast 1776. And if you're not on social media, that's fine. You can check us out on the interweb. The website is DontTreadonMerica.com. And, of course, if you have any questions or concerns or anything you want to get with me about, or if you're worried about where I've been, you can email me. You hit me up, DonQ at DontTreadonMerica.com. And right now, I'm going to crank it up a little bit of Damn Yankees. Don't Tread on America version, courtesy of one Ted Theodore Nugent. Sing along, guys, if you know the words. Crank it up, rip the knob off. I got to get my voice back into check. I haven't really done a lot of talking in the last couple of weeks. Been a lot of work. You guys know what that's all about. We're just hard-working sons of bitches. But I got a good show for you coming up, guys, so listen up.
Don't you dare
Welcome back, guys, to another no-holds-barred episode of Don't Tread on America. Of course, I'm your host, Don Q, coming to you from the heart of freedom-loving America, a.k.a. Florida. Folks, if you've been sleeping under a rock, the Epstein files have been dropping like bombshells, exposing the slimy underbelly of global elite. We're talking politicians, CEOs, Hollywood stars, and even sport moguls tangled up in a web of depravity. And oh boy, the conspiracy theories, oh boy. You know, even not doing a show for the last couple of weeks, I'm still ranked number 36, so that's how good this fucking show is, guys. They're thicker than the fog on the deep state cover-up. We'll dive into all of it today, including how heroes like Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene fought tooth and nail to get these files out, only to get slammed by the media and their own party. Plus, we'll connect the dots to the chilling kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie and the wild theory swirling around it. Buckle up, because this one's gonna rattle some cages. And we'll roll right after this guitar solo like we do, guys. Ted Nugent, take it away. All right. Let's start with the basics. Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted sex offender and financier who officially offered himself up in 2019. Yeah, right. Was running a sick operation trafficking young girls to rich and powerful. His files, over 6 million pages of docs, emails, photos, and videos, finally unleashed by the DOJ after they said there were none, after Congress forced their hand with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. But here's the kicker. Even in 2026, they're dropping in batches, heavily redacted to protect the guilty. The latest dump on January 30th hit 3.5 million pages, including wild stuff like fake videos of Epstein's death and forged letters claiming Trump shared a love of young nubile girls. Total BS, of course, but it shows how desperate the smear machine is. And now the names. Oh man, the names. We're talking a who's who of the elite. Political heavyweights like Bill Clinton. Hey, they just said I got a big dick. It's fine. Mentioning hundreds of times with emails about his dealings with Epstein. Donald Trump pops up too, but mostly old stuff before he cut ties. Prince Andrew, weeks at Epstein's place getting daily massages. Al Gore, George Lucas, Cameron Diaz. Now, I mentioned Al Gore because that name's going to come up a little bit later on when we talk about this whole Guthrie situation. So, it's very important. Even Mick Jagger and Kevin Spacey on humanitarian trips with Epstein and Maxwell. CEOs, you had Elon Musk emailing about travel plans to the island, though he denies visiting. Bill Gates in photos and emails. Mark Zuckerberg at dinner with Epstein. Josh Harris, the billionaire owner of the Commanders, 76ers, and Devils, swapping messages from 2013 to 2016. Todd Bowley, Chelsea FC, that's football, I think that's soccer, right? Chairman and part owner of the Dodgers and Lakers, setting up meetings. Sultan Ahmed bin Salem, DP World CEO. In sports, we had Steve Teich of the New York Giants, co-owner, cruelly discussing women with Epstein. Hollywood, we had Harvey Weinstein, obviously, in FBI forms, Woody Allen, Kate Blanchett, Naomi Campbell. The list goes on. David Copperfield, Alan Dershowitz, Ehud Barak, Larry Summers. No wrongdoing given for most, but the connections stink to high heaven. But wait, there's more. Scientists. Emails show Epstein consulting on publications and visas, deeper ties than we thought. And Trump, records show he bashed Epstein to Palm Beach cops back in the day, calling Maxwell evil. Now, the conspiracies. You can't talk Epstein without talking about conspiracies. Number one, Epstein didn't kill himself. It's a meme for a reason. Conspiracy nuts say he was whacked by the Clintons, Trump, or the deep state to silence him. Radical right blames Hillary. Left points to Trump. Some say it was CIA or Mossad running a blackmail operation. Then there's the client list. A mythical blackmail ledger of elites. Files debunked in somewhat, but theorists persist. Fake death? AI photos proving he's still alive in Israel went viral last week. And the big one, a vast global conspiracy of elites shielding each other with special rules. The files confirm it, sort of. No Illuminati, but yeah, the powerful play by different rules. To back this up, let's cue an article. Let's see what I got here. Cue an article from, where's it at? It's right here. Article. So this is from Political. The Epstein conspiracy is the horror story of our day. Watching Donald Trump try and fail to move the news cycle past Jeffrey Epstein this week was like watching an octopus spray ink and get eaten anyway. A wonder of evolution falling with the strategy that always worked with him. So this was actually from last year, from July of last year. The Washington's whatever should immediately change their name back to the Washington Redskins football team, Trump posted on Sunday, adding that the Cleveland Guardians should go back to being the Indians too. It was a fairly transparent attempt, even an ultra circumspect New York Times, among other outlets, describe it as an effort to distract people from the files. So the conspiracy theory is that Epstein provided politicians, celebrities with underage girls for sex, and his clients had him killed in prison to keep him quiet. This is obviously chilling stuff. And from NPR, conspiracy theories about Jeffrey Epstein keep flourishing. That'll come up. With few Epstein files released. No, I'm not paying for the article. Sorry. Conspiracy theories flourish and questions remain. During the 24 election, Trump promised to release Epstein files as part of the campaign promise, arguing the government was run by powerful people hiding from truth from Americans. At the start of 26, many people agree and believe that he is now one of the powerful few keeping it from the public. So, what I need you to do right now, though, is you need to hold that thought, because we need to take a quick break to talk about something that'll keep you going strong without the BS. So hang tight, guys. All right, guys, if you're looking for a clean nicotine hit without the smoke or spit, check out Alp nicotine pouches. Fresh flavors, no hassle. Just pop one in and power through your day. Go to outpouch.com/DTOM for 20% off your first order. That's outpouch.com/DTOM, guys. Don't tread on your freedom. Grab some Alp today. I'll be right back. So, we are back with the show. Guys, shout out what we need to do now is we need to shout out to the warriors who made this release happen. That's one representative of Kentucky, Thomas Massie, and former representative of Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene. They teamed up with Democrat Ro Khanna on the Epstein Files Transparency Act, forcing a House vote via discharge petition, despite massive pushbacks. Massie and MTG held pressers with survivors calling out the swamp. But the backlash is vicious. Trump called MTG a traitor and went after Massie's new wife, personal new low. Super PACs funded by billionaires like Paul Singer and John Paulson, who's in Epstein's book, by the way, dumped $800,000 in ads against Massie right after the release. Media paints him as a conspiracy kooks, I should say, but they're fighting for truth. But why the hate? Conspiracies say to protect donors' foreign interest or to hide their own skins. So this is MTG. This was the other day on, this was back in November, I should say, on CNN.
I have something in my heart that I think is incredibly important for our country, and that is to end the toxic fighting in politics. And this has been going on for years, and it has divided our country, split up friends and families, neighbors, and it's not solving our problems. The most hurtful thing he said, which is absolutely untrue, is he called me a traitor, and that is so extremely wrong. And those are the types of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger.
What do you think happened? What do you think is the reason for this?
Unfortunately, it has all come down to the Epstein files, and that is shocking. And, you know, I stand with these women. I stand with rape victims. I stand with children who are in terrible sex abuse situations. And I stand with survivors of trafficking and those that are trapped in sex trafficking. And I will not apologize for that. I believe the country deserves transparency in these files. And I don't believe that rich, powerful people should be protected if they have done anything wrong. And so I'm standing with the women, and I will continue to do my small part to get the files released.
You posted on X.
So essentially, you have a person in MTG who gave up her career in politics because of the backlash that she was getting over all of this. And like she said there, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what party. It doesn't matter what you are, who you are in business, politics, you know, fame, popularity, whatever. It does not matter. This is an individual, Epstein, who, by all accounts, was in deep with our government, Israel's government, to collude and I don't even know the words I want to find here, but he was obviously in this to blackmail individuals. Now, it makes a lot more sense when you say it, oh, he's there to blackmail politicians. But why movie stars? Why, you know, TV and radio and business individuals? I guess business would be, you know, one of the questions a lot of people have asked and no one has gotten an answer is, how did Epstein gain his wealth? I mean, where did this guy come from? Well, he was a teacher and then he was a professor. By all accounts, he wasn't necessarily the smartest man. He was a devious man. He was a good talker. He was a smooth operator, so to speak. But he convinced people out of their money. And then once he convinced them to be with these young girls and so on and so forth, convinced them out of even more money. And what I think really did in the DOJ, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, was I was having this conversation with Chris the other day, and we talked about three of the loudest people during Trump's election, during his run for re-election, I should say, about Epstein was Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and Pam Bondi. And when they were rallying for Trump to be elected, and Trump himself even said about letting these files out, the truth needs to be told. Then he gets in, he chooses her for Attorney General, chooses what's his face, Kash Patel for the FBI, Dan Bongino for FBI assistant, and then everything changed. Now, by all accounts, some people will sit here and say, well, it's almost like they bring these guys into a room, they show them some fucking information, and then their tune changes. And maybe that's true. Maybe they were all threatened. Maybe, I mean, because I heard one show say, well, you know, maybe what they saw was just so disgusting and so crazy that they couldn't. No, I just don't buy that. I'm sorry. If you saw what everyone is saying is there, how do you be quiet about this? How do you, Dan Bongino, who I used to listen to your show every fucking day, haven't listened to it since you've been back, don't plan on listening to it anytime soon. I know you don't give a shit. I'm just one dude, so whatever. But we can see the writing on the wall. We could see what was gifted to you. The whole purpose of Dan Bongino leaving the FBI wasn't because of whatever reason he gave. The reason to leave is to do what he's doing. To get on his podcast that is relatively popular, probably a top 10 podcast. And oh, by the way, he's rehired by Fox as a contributor, which means he'll be able to spread more propaganda on Fox, who, by the way, isn't mentioning one word about these fucking files being released and what's in them. Nothing. It's wall-to-wall coverage of this poor lady that was kidnapped. That's all you see on Fox is that kidnapping. That's it. For 2 weeks now, that's all you see. Nothing else in the world is going on other than this kidnapping, which we're going to get to here in a little bit. But the Epstein files reveal that a vast global conspiracy actually exists. And let's see, Trump's embrace of a conspiracy theorist kept the Epstein case in the spotlight. And that's kind of the thing, is like when he was running for Jesus Christ, no. I was trying to find the fucking article here. Is there a video here? What is this?
On Masterpiece.
On Masterpiece. You know, Trump's push for conspiracy theory, like during his first term, the QAnon stuff was rampant. He would quote stuff off of QAnon, which by all accounts was an AI bot propaganda machine, essentially, to do what it did. But he did quote it, and he utilized it, and he utilized conspiracy theorists.
Tied to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation will shift attention or raise new questions about figures beyond Donald Trump. William Brangham reports now on how the president's promotion of fringe theories has helped keep the Epstein case in the public eye.
On the campaign trail and in office, President Trump has a habit of courting unfounded conspiracies. That includes QAnon, the belief that some hidden figure in the government, Q, is explaining how Donald Trump is waging a secret battle against dark, nefarious forces, including a cabal of child sex traffickers. This belief evolved from online obscurity to now, where you regularly see QAnon signs at Trump rallies, and the president reposted a QAnon meme on social media as recently as last week. So to understand how President Trump's amplification of QAnon fuels speculation about Jeffrey Epstein, we are joined by Will Sommer. He's a writer at The Bulwark and author of Trust the Plan, The Rise of QAnon and the Conspiracy That Unhinged America. Will Sommer, so good to have you on the program. There is clearly an ideological connection between Jeffrey Epstein and QAnon, and we can talk about that. But first, remind us, how did QAnon move from the fringe into this more prominent place in our politics?
Sure. So QAnon started in October 2017 with these anonymous posts on an internet message board from a figure calling themselves Q. And they said that the world was run by a cabal of pedophiles in the Democratic Party and Hollywood and banking, and that Donald Trump would someday send all those people to Guantanamo Bay and sort of reign as a sort of a dictator in a utopia. And so this QAnon believers sort of teamed up with Q and started reading through all the clues. And that's the origins of QAnon. But it was really on the fringe until 2019, 2020, when things like Jeffrey Epstein's death and the pandemic really drove a lot more people into conspiracy theories. And a lot of that, too, was people like were Donald Trump and his allies embracing conspiracy theories. Trump spoke very positively about QAnon believers during the 2020 campaign. So it's been a very symbiotic relationship between Trump and QAnon.
As you're mentioning, Jeffrey Epstein is both a real case of an elite figure engaging in sex trafficking and abuse of young people, wedded to this added conspiracy of unfounded claims and unverified allegations, including this idea of a client list full of bold-faced names that has yet to be released. How do QAnon adherents look at this marriage of both facts and speculation?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best conspiracy theories are often based in a grain of fact. And in this case, I mean, Jeffrey Epstein really did abuse women and young girls. He really did pal around with powerful and very wealthy people for kind of mysterious reasons that really haven't been explained. And so if you take that kernel of truth, then QAnon believers latch onto it and they spin all of this stuff out of it. The idea that, Democrats were involved in satanic rituals or drinking children's blood, things like that. And so they see Jeffrey Epstein as almost like a moment where they got a glimpse of what the cabal or the organization controlling the world was really up to. And so that's why they put so much faith and so much effort into trying to get things like the client list or the Epstein files released.
I want to play two clips of Donald Trump talking about this particular issue. The first is from September of last year, when Trump suggested that he will release this alleged client list. And the second, this was just after the floods in Texas, shows him sort of getting irritated that this question is still lingering. Let's listen to those.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking... We have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
It's like the Frankenstein monster here. You help build the thing and then lament when it comes to get you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Trump and people like Kash Patel, Dan Bongino in the FBI, J.D. Vance, all of these people raised the profile of the idea of the client list. And they said, this is a really important thing, and we'll release it. We'll consider releasing it. Pam Bondi said the client list was on her desk after taking office. And then suddenly Trump says, whoa, like, what are you talking about? Who cares about that? And then he goes on to even insult his supporters for being interested in it. And so it's a very strange turnabout that I think has been really challenging for people like QAnon believers.
Do you have a sense of whether or not this is going to go away? Will these questions be answered? Is there a way to answer them to put to rest these concerns?
I don't think there's really any putting this genie back in the bottle. I think both QAnon believers, I think Trump supporters more broadly are going to be very interested still in Epstein. And I think maybe most worryingly for the president, I think a lot of independent voters who maybe weren't that politically interested, but really latched onto the Epstein case because of its emotional resonance and the idea that there was this mystery at play, that something was being covered up. I think those people are still really interested in it. And if it seems like the president is involved in a cover-up, or it seems like Republicans are dragging their feet on finding out what happened or releasing information to the public, I think that'll continue to be an issue.
So, by all accounts, it seems like that even though Trump is mentioned in these files, so far nothing nefarious has come out. So, obviously, you have two factions. You have people on the left saying, "Oh, Trump's mentioned, however many times," and so he's avoiding releasing these because he doesn't want to get in trouble. And then people on the right are like, oh, yeah, he's mentioned, but like I just said, nothing nefarious. But then why the pushback? Because on the surface, it very much looks like he has something to hide. But by all accounts, from what we were hearing, is that he's worried about himself. He's worried about his friends. And why oppose the release now? Obviously, to shield elites from embarrassment, or worse. Conspiracies point to a deep state protection. Trump's flip-flop fueled theories, he's part of it now. Lawmakers like Raskin accuse the DOJ of cover-up after viewing unredacted files, names hidden without reason. And Trump was quoted as saying that it's a lot of his friends are going to pay, are going to get in trouble for this. And I think here's the thing. If you have a friend that did something disgusting, whatever that thing is, you as a human being might just not be friends with that person anymore, right? And God forbid you had a friend that you found out was touching kids or did something like this, you know, to young girls or whatever. My knee is really bothering me right now. I got to stretch that sucker out. You would stop talking to that person, I would assume. So what bothers me about all this is a person who voted for Trump for 3 times is that you're willing to put your friends who did bad things and are probably still doing bad things, even though Jeffrey Epstein's long gone. I don't think because he's gone, these individuals are stopped doing bad things. Right? I can't imagine you just, oh, well, Jeffrey's gone. I guess I can't be fucking, little girls anymore, or little boys, or whatever we're doing. You go to the next supplier. So that's what bothers me about this whole situation, is that if your friend, if you found out your buddy raped some, 15-year-old girl and was convicted or thrown in jail, even if it didn't happen yesterday, it happened 10 years ago, let's just say. And then you're like, oh my God, Bob, you were convicted of raping a 13-year-old? Yeah, I'm done being friends with Bob. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Bob may be a fine human being now. Maybe he's never done anything. Maybe he's fully rehabilitated. I don't give a shit. And is it because your friends are going to get in trouble? Or if it's because your business associates, business partners, donors, high money donors, people that are invested into your company? And then you have this where Pam Bondi, she has this to say. This was yesterday. Oh, wait, this isn't it. Let me erase that. This is it here. This is her losing her shit to Thomas Massey.
And we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician.
That's something else that bothers me. Is when these people, that's their comeback. If you're starting to argue, he's not even arguing about Trump. This is what Thomas Massey is saying has nothing to do with Donald Trump. But this is what these, and I would consider myself, I'm definitely a conservative. I'm losing my battle to maintain my Republican status because I'm getting to that point where I don't give a shit about party affiliation. I'm looking at the person from now on. Period. But the left, both sides do the same fucking thing. When you're making an argument about whatever, that they start this. You got Trump derangement system. Listen to what he's saying.
I find it interesting that she keeps going after President Trump, the greatest president in American history. And if they could maintain their composure. You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
You're a lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in
the rules. Obsessed with Donald Trump. You have Trump derangement syndrome. All of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump, you all should be apologizing. You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. the S&P at almost 7,000, and the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about.
And here's the problem with that. Although those numbers are accurate, that's not what this is about. Yes, I'm not going to sit here and tell you who gives a shit about the economy. We all care about the economy. And the numbers were just released yesterday on jobs and unemployment. And I'm scratching my head. And the reason I'm scratching my head and when I tell you, you guys listen to the show for as long as we've been doing this show, you know how I feel about Trump versus, or Republican or Democrats rather. You know how I feel about Trump president versus Biden president or whoever. And the whole point of having a good president, whoever that may be, is to have a good economy, because we all do better when we are in a better economy. But by all accounts, you go to the grocery store every week, prices aren't really dropping. We just saw, I don't know if this is a nationwide thing or if this was just in Florida or what, but UPS is doing a buyout of employees. DHL down in Florida fired a shit ton of people, closed one of the branches. What was the other one? Amazon laying off drivers. If the economy is doing great, if unemployment is down, if jobs are being added, then why are jobs not being added? I know I just gave you a few examples, but something that we used to do on this show during Biden's term was break down the numbers. And I'm not doing that today because this is not the show for it. I'm just giving you an example of how both sides always try to turn the corner on what the question is. And maybe that's something I can dig into for a future show is the Trump White House using the same stats or figures and how to figure out these numbers that Biden was doing. Because you remember how it was under Biden the last 2 years? Oh, jobs numbers are these. And then like a month later, you get a updated number, and it was really they lost 100,000 jobs, or it broke even, or whatever that number was. Are we going to start seeing that? But I can't stand this whole Trump derangement. If someone has an argument, if they got Trump derangement. Guys, let me get this next sponsor out. In this digital age, protect your online freedom with NordVPN. Surf anonymously, bypass censorship, and keep the government out of your business. Use promo code DTOM for 50% off plus a free month at nordvpn.com/DTOM. Stay secure, stay free. So I also wanted to talk about Thomas Massie. Let me see if I can find it in my notes here. So Massie, the libertarian firebrand, teamed up with folks across the aisle like Ro Khanna. Now, interesting, I listened to Sean Ryan's podcast the other day, and he had Ro Khanna on. It was actually a very good episode. And Ro Khanna and Massie, they launched the discharge petitions and bills forcing a vote on the Epstein File Transparency Act. MTG was right there, calling out the D.C. swamp for dragging their feet. She even held a press conference for survivors, saying the only thing that will speak to the powerful, courageous women behind me is when action is actually taken to release the files. They got it done. Trump signed it November of 25 after initially flipping out, but not without drama. Now the backlash. Trump blasted MTG as a traitor. I played you that. He even went after Massie's wife, Rhonda, in a post, so now he's attacking my wife, who voted for him 3 times. Massie fires back, trying to direct his questions to Pam Bondi about the files. The media, CNN and MSNBC, painted them as conspiracy peddlers, stirring up MAGA infighting, while establishing Republicans like leadership try to block the votes. Why? Conspiracies abound, protecting donors, hiding international deals, and or avoiding embarrassment for some very powerful man, as Massie put it in this interview.
I think it's going to be embarrassing to some of the billionaires, some of the donors who are politically connected to his campaign. I also think Democrats are going to be implicated in this, Democrat donors. And when you get to the billionaire level, a lot of these folks give to both parties anyway. There are probably intelligence ties to our CIA and maybe to other foreign intelligence, and the American people would be shocked, I think, to know that our intelligence agency was working with a pedophile who was running a sex trafficking ring. So these are the reasons I think that they're resisting this. But we can't avoid justice just to avoid embarrassment for some very powerful men.
Congressman
So, and that's important. It's very much like a Ben Franklin situation, where when you give up freedom, or when you give up liberty for protection, you have neither. And that's kind of where we're at. This is not a right versus left. This isn't a Republican or a Democrat thing. This is a slime ball thing. This is a piece of shit thing. There are pieces of shit in Washington. I don't know if you know this or not, but this could be breaking news. There are pieces of shit floating around in Washington, D.C. They are called congressmen, senators, lobbyists, donors, bureaucrats, possibly your president, and so on and so forth. And anyone that's trying to cover this up and dismiss it, and any one of these motherfuckers that are on Twitter, that are doing podcasts, that are talking shit about Thomas Massie and MTG and going after these individuals, well, you know what? Then I got to wonder if you're involved or if you're being paid by someone to push this propaganda. And actually, that's going to be the show I do on tomorrow, is about those individuals. I'm not going to talk about them now. We're going to talk about them tomorrow. And I'm not going to skirt around the issue, because I'm going to tell you who I'm talking about, and I'm going to tell you what I think about them, because you know what? I don't even give a fuck, because number one, half of them don't even use their real fucking names because they're pussies. Oh, well, you just say your name's Don Q. I say my name's Don Q because my last name's fucking 20 letters long. Okay? You can follow me on Facebook, and guess what? You're going to see my last name. I don't hide behind a cartoon profile pic. I don't hide behind a bullshit name. I don't hide behind a fucking plastic surgery where my lips look like I've been sucking on a fucking light bulb. None of that shit happens here. I'm going to tell you the fucking truth, and I don't give a fuck about who I talk about or what I say about those people. But all these individuals who have podcasts and have a Twitter following, they can get on here and say the things they say because of a Republican, Thomas Massie, or a Republican, Marjorie Taylor Greene, saying the things they're saying. They're not going after Trump per se. They're going after the pedophiles and the perpetrators that are on this list. And the thing that should piss every fucking buddy off about this whole fucking situation is the fact that you have people that are in power that could be telling you the truth right now, who they themselves 2 years ago were pushing these same fucking narratives. They were saying the same goddamn thing that Thomas Massie is saying right now. But now, none of it's true. Now, these things don't exist. Now, Dan Bongino saying, let's not let this Epstein killing himself thing die. He didn't kill himself. He didn't do this. Oh, wait, yeah, he did. These are the people. How can you trust these motherfuckers? How can you honestly sit there, if you're a Dan Bongino fan, for example, and you listen to his podcast, 2 years ago, you were, I'm saying you because I'm talking about myself. You were a constant listener of his podcast every single fucking day. And when he had his show on Fox, every Saturday, I'm watching his show. I was that guy. And I'm like, yeah, I got kind of tired of the trust the plan, we're going to follow, hold the line, Patriots, all that bullshit. But I listened. I was like, yeah, that's interesting. I see what he's saying. And he always had a bunch of, well, I have a friend here and I have a friend there. And I'm thinking, okay, he's probably telling the truth because he's, doing his thing. Then he goes and works for the government, and he comes back a changed person. And none of this stuff existed. He killed himself. It's legitimate. There's no client list. It was just Epstein and Maxwell. So you mean to tell me that these two individuals trafficked women for nobody? And I don't give a shit who's on that list. I don't care if it's Trump or Biden or Clinton or movie stars A, B, C, D, E, F, G or business person A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't care if they're Republican. I don't care if they're Democrat. If they're pieces of shit, they need to be flushed down the toilet. Period. But 2 years ago, Bondi, Patel, Bongino were all saying the exact same fucking things that people like Massey and Nancy Mace, MTG, Boebert, all these individuals who are saying what they're saying now, those individuals were saying the same goddamn thing 2 years ago. Now it's an issue. You got to ask yourself, what in the fuck is going on? Let's shift gears to the kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie. The 84-year-old mom of today's show, Savannah Guthrie, vanished from her Tucson home on January 31st of 26. Signs of a struggle. Her DNA at the scene, ransom notes demanding $6 million in Bitcoin. Deadlines passed, no word. FBI says no suspects. And then, sure, if you watch the news, you've heard all about this. So I'm not breaking any news. No continued contact. Experts say it may not have been a planned kidnap, could have been a botched home invasion or ideology driven, given the political climate. So, what are we going to do? We're going to talk conspiracies. Because my theory on the news is this. When the news talks only about one thing, whatever that thing is, something else has to be going on. Well, obviously, at the same time that this happened, unfortunately, for this lady, who, by all accounts, is probably just an innocent bystander in all this. This old lady probably hasn't done a goddamn thing in her life. But she's caught into the mix because of who her family is. But this all subsequently happens around the same time that the Epstein files finally get released almost 2 months after the fact. So some link this to Epstein because Savannah, who is a Today Show host, interviewed survivors in 2019 of the Epstein survivors. Excuse me. Old clips resurfacing. Did her reporting put a target on her family? Or is it a deep state retaliation? AI deepfakes complicate proof of life demands also. From a YouTube breakdown, old clips from Guthrie's explosive 2019 Epstein interviews are suddenly resurfacing. Audio from Savannah, please. We are at an hour of desperation. And from NPR, Arizona authorities launched an urgent search. So, before I give you my thoughts on all this, I'm going to cover this last commercial. Guys, you tired of restless nights? Get the best sleep with MyPillow. Made in America, adjustable for climate comfort. Use promo code DTOM for up to 66% off at MyPillow.com. Sweet dreams, America. So, why are we talking about this? Let me find the rest of my notes here. I'm bouncing between two pages here. All right, so, the timing of all this, obviously, is suspect as hell. Savannah's husband, though, is Michael Feldman. Now, who is Michael Feldman? He is a DC insider, political consultant for Al Gore, and has deep Democratic ties. Let me find. I think I might have deleted that. So Michael Feldman is a public relations consultant and former Democratic political advisor who worked in the Clinton White House and co-founded the Glover Park Group, now part of FGS Global, has been the center of these speculations. Authorities believe Nancy was abducted from her Tucson home on January 31st, with evidence including blood at the scene, lapsed security camera subscription, and surveillance footage of masked armed individuals. Ransom demands, including notes sent to TMZ requesting Bitcoin, have been reported, but some of the demand deemed false by the FBI. Feldman has publicly pleaded for help in finding Nancy, but has otherwise described himself as feeling mostly unhelpful in the investigation. These events coincide with the release of additional Jeffrey Epstein files in early February, which mention entities and individuals connected to Feldman's professional network, fueling speculation that the kidnapping is not random, but tied to those revelations. Below, we have a summary of the main conspiracy theories circulating online, drawn from web service sources and X discussions. So, connecting to Jeffrey Epstein files and political silencing, a prominent theory posits that Nancy's abduction is linked to timing of newly released Epstein documents, which allegedly implicate figures in Feldman's orbit. Feldman's Glover Park Group is mentioned in the files as part of the Epstein's network, and some claim the firm or Feldman himself acted as a cleaner or a scrubber for high-profile clients, including the Clintons, to manage scandals. The kidnapping is speculated to be a warning, leverage, or distraction ahead of the Clintons' testimony in Epstein's related proceedings. Some extend this to suggest involvement from Clinton associates or even cartels, giving Tucson's proximity to the border as a means to pressure Feldman or cover up ties. Notably, Glover Park Group's websites reportedly went offline around the time of the file release, which theorists interpret as evidence of scrubbing a digital footprint. Another theory claims that the entire incident is a stage false flag designed to generate sympathy for the Guthrie Feldman family and divert attention from the Epstein scrutiny. Proponents point to holes in the official story, such as conflicting accounts of who dropped Nancy off after dinner, the lapsed security subscription for a vulnerably elderly woman, dramatic but unverified elements like blood trails without immediate forensic details, ransom notes sent to media outlets like TMZ instead of authorities, and missed deadlines in demands without follow-up. Some argue the family's public pleas seem scripted. They weren't. They don't seem scripted. They were scripted. They were literally reading them. Overly polished and lack of proof of life, ransoms, and specific kidnapping. Inside job or family involvement. I think that's what the police believe. But I'm focused more on the Michael Feldman situation in all this, because this is the thing. Extortion to silence DNC figures in the files like the Clintons. Nancy's kidnapping was a setup or a hoax to distract from revelations. So let me see if I have it here. So one conspiracy theory being used as extortion against Michael Feldman so he wouldn't reveal information ties to Epstein Dems like the Clintons. So the Clintons, I think, are set to testify next week in all of this situation. Now, he worked in the White House under Clinton, and I had read somewhere where he was also with the DNC during Hillary's run for president in 2016, and his firm could have been partly responsible for the whole Clinton email situation, you know, the Seth Rich thing that he magically got robbed and killed and whatever. And maybe this is a way to keep them keep them shutty. You know what I'm saying? So, I guess in essence, and we can close out the show from here, guys. Obviously, this whole Epstein thing is a clusterfuck. You know, when was he first arrested? What was it? 2008, I think it was. And he was released on that sweetheart deal. And I wasn't a big news watcher. I wasn't really following politics. I was kind of like, I'm Republican, I'm voting for whoever that person is. Now, I think in 2008, I did not vote Republican. Sorry. But it was a situation where I was getting tired of the same old, and I was like, I don't think John McCain's the guy for me. I'm voting for Obama. My bad. Sorry. But anyway, I don't recall anything about this Jeffrey Epstein in 2008. Really didn't. I don't recall anything about this guy prior to the last 10 years. Seriously. If that long. And but as you've learned about these things and who this person is and who his network involves, from politicians to celebrities and all points in between, it's all rich and powerful people, because that's how he made his money. Now, should you be held guilty for being friends with a person like this, even though you had nothing to do with anything he was doing? Probably not. You should be judged in the public eye, I would think, for being a person that lacks character and morals. But by all accounts, Jeffrey Epstein made his money by blackmailing individuals for either power or money, or both. You don't blackmail individuals without proof of who you're blackmailing or why you're blackmailing them. You don't go up to a person, hey, remember that time back in 2012 when you were doing this, that, and the other thing? Remember that? Yeah? Oh, you don't? Oh, well, I remember it. Oh, you don't? Okay. That's when you're like, hey, remember that thing you did back in 2012 with that thing and the thing? Yeah? No? You don't remember that? Watch this. Play. Yeah, you remember that now, motherfucker? That's your dick right there doing whatever it's doing. So, to say that there's no files, there's no videos, there's no names written down, they're lying. They're lying because Pam Bondi said it herself. If we convict all the people that are involved in this, the system will collapse. What the hell do you mean by that? Does that rabbit hole go so deep that the whole system, you're talking, and to me, I don't know what she means, but if I have to guess what she means, to me, it sounds like she's talking about there's, I don't know how many Congress people, 480 something Congress people, 100 senators. To me, what, there's 9 justices on the bench, Supreme Court? So to me, it sounds like you're going to have over 50% of Congress involved in this. Over 50% of the senators involved in this. I'm not saying Republican, I'm not saying Democrat. I'm saying over 50% of those individuals. Some from one party and some from the other. Doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if there's 100 Republicans and 85 Democrats and they have less. It doesn't matter. It's not the point. There's no winner in this game. Anyway, so there has to be over 50% of each of these individuals. There has to be a situation where 5 or 6 of the justices are involved in this. There has to be a situation where governors across the country are involved in this. Mayors in some of your larger cities involved in this. CEOs in these companies involved in this. For the system to collapse, what does she mean by that? Is she talking about our financial system or our system of governance? What's going to collapse? Is it all of the above? Those are the questions that I want to know, and you know what? I'm here for it. Because the idea is that if the 10 largest companies in America, whoever they are, I don't know them off the top of my head, if all their CEOs are involved, let's just say, not saying they are, but let's just say they are, that it would crash their stock in those companies. Now, the way I see it is this. If I don't want to single out any companies because I'm not naming names in this situation because I have no idea. But let's just say the head of Ford is on this list. And there's video of him doing some nefarious shit to a little kid. Not saying that that's true. I'm just using it as an example. Do you think Ford stock crashes? Well, I don't believe that's the case. My personal thought process is this person might be the CEO of Ford, but he has nothing to do with that car being built. So do you think I should stop buying Ford stock because this guy's a piece of shit? Should I stop buying Walmart stock because maybe the CEO of Walmart's on the list? I'm not saying they are. I'm just using that as an example. That's my point. I don't know that the system will crash. I don't know that the governance will crash. Well, if 50-something% of the people in the Congress and Senate get arrested, okay, then we just have special elections. I mean, we shouldn't, kind of what like Massey said, we shouldn't subvert the law to help people that are, rich, so to speak. And that's really the thing here is we're focused on not doing the right thing, but doing the thing that best suits our donors or our friends or whatever. So, in wrapping this whole thing up, guys, let's see if I can get my music to get going here. Probably not. There it is. So, the file proves the elite's rot runs deep. Thanks to Massey and MTG for fighting through the backlash, the Guthrie kidnapping smells like a DNC cover-up. So we need to stay vigilant and don't tread on America, guys. A couple of things real quick before we get going. Please make sure that you're following the show on social media. Don't Tread on America on Facebook, Instagram, True Social, on the Ticker Talker, and of course on the Twitter X machine, DTOM Podcast 1776. And also don't forget about Rumble. We're on Rumble. This video will be up later. If you want to check it out, DontTreadonMericaTV. And don't forget about the DTOM Store, guys. It's still kicking. Get you a t-shirt. If you want to support a show, I don't take any money from it. That all goes to charity. But you supporting the show by wearing the shirt, putting the stickers on your vehicle, whatever you do with it. And that helps me get the word out. That's all I care about. It's not about the money. Okay, I have a decent job. I make good money. Okay, that's all that matters. I'm doing this for the love of I'm actually doing this because it needs to be done. I'm not doing this for a paycheck. I'm not like most of these other guys that are doing podcasts for a paycheck. So keep that in mind. Spread the word. Share this with your friends. Have a great day. Follow the show on your podcast that you're listening to. Make sure you're following that. And I'll be back again tomorrow. So you guys have a great day, and we'll talk again later. Peace.